Hi, I'm Laura Knights with Knights Consulting. As a leadership and team development consultant, I support organizations to create more competent, confident leaders and high performing teams. In this video, I want to provide 5 tips to help you cultivate psychological resilience on your team. Many teams here in the U.S. are in the midst of several weeks of social distancing. While the initial focus was on moving employees to remote work and adapting systems to maintain workflow, many companies are now shifting to prioritizing the mental health of its employees. We're seeing more organizations doing things like conducting wellness surveys, facilitating virtual workout sessions, and starting team meetings with emotional check ins. All of these efforts by organizations are going in the right direction to support the mental health of employees. Likewise, many leaders and managers are also asking how they can be more supportive of the emotional and mental health of their team members. So, from critical incident response work, we can pull a lot of really great points about how to cultivate this resilience. A critical incident is an event that is out of the ordinary and that involves some form of human suffering or anguish. Critical incidents can result in distress and strong emotional responses from those affected. And such events can overwhelm the natural coping strategies and are very disruptive to the workplace. They may include events like violence in the workplace or natural disasters. And I think it's safe to say that COVID-19 is also a situation that can be considered a critical incident. So, the focus of critical incident response is on cultivating psychological resiliency that supports employees to return to their pre incident functioning. Well, we know COVID 19 is currently ongoing, so we're not quite getting to pre incident functioning just yet, but we can focus on what can be done to help individuals recharge their resiliency while they're in the midst of it and there's not a specific end in sight. So let's break down what we mean by psychological resilience. It's the ability to mentally or emotionally cope with a crisis and to be able to bounce back from that crisis, to be able to adapt to that and still function in that situation. Resilience exists when the person uses their internal resources. And so we're talking about things like mindset, coping strategies, and things that they have pulled on, internal resources they have pulled on when things are tough. So, how can leaders and managers help employees to cultivate that resilience? That's what we're talking about in this video. And I want to provide you with 5 tips. So, here is the first one. Normalize the emotions your team members may be feeling. No one has really experienced, or very few people have experienced a global pandemic in their lifetime. It is really an unprecedented event that we find ourselves in. So, whatever emotions are coming up for people, is okay. That's the emotions that they're dealing with. That's how they're processing it. So normalizing that people realize that it is normal to be experiencing some of those, to have some foggy brain moments, to not have the same exact level of productivity as they had before. So, after you normalize those emotions, there still needs to be a conversation to provide some realistic expectations and flexibility with regard to productivity and accountability. So, we want to acknowledge that there may be some shifts in productivity. And flexibility is required as people are caring for children and other family members while they're working at home. However, there's still work to be done. So it's important to have some collaborative discussions that draw some clear lines so people have a real clear sense of what is absolutely non negotiable and must be done, and where is there some flexibility that can be applied to work tasks and deadlines. Tip 2. Provide clear and practical information about the organization, workflow, and income stability. Some of the recent surveys that have been done indicate that job security is a primary source of anxiety. And I mean, we're hearing on the news companies that have to lay off. So it is a natural fear that may come up for people. So anxiety requires information for it to be managed. It won't completely go away, but it can be decreased, it can be managed. So, what can you do as a leader and manager? You can be transparent and honest and provide timely information about how the organization is managing things and what they can expect moving forward. If layoffs need to happen, that communication happening respectfully and in a way that honors the dignity of the people that are going to be laid off. And so news might be ever evolving as things are unfolding day to day. So it's important for organizations and the leader who it trickles down to establish a communication structure for keeping the team updated on a regular basis. All right, tip 3. Connect them to behavioral health tools that encourage healthy thinking. These may be your employee assistance program, local community resources, online self help resources, self care strategies that they can implement. These things can be company hosted or a curated list of third party resources. You want to encourage them to practice self care, and this encourages them to again pull on those internal resources, to participate in activities that provide relaxation, enjoyment, and healing for them, to encourage them to use boundaries with regard to work life balance, and to have some set times to step away from the computer. And you can also integrate self care and calming resources into team meetings and into your company newsletter correspondence. Tip 4, provide space for connection and checking in. We already talked about normalizing emotions, so it's a good thing to acknowledge stressors proactively and keep the communication flowing. Let them know you're available to talk with them if they're having some challenges that's affecting their workflow, that's affecting their functioning. Encourage them to avoid isolation. Ask people how they're doing directly, both in your team members and in one on ones, and inquire if there's any support you can provide. And then the last part of this is to model self care. As you, as a leader, model that, you really can encourage and support your team to do the same. And finally, tip 5 is to encourage and facilitate some hope. Being able to recover from a crisis requires a sense of hope. Encourage your team members to create goals and visions for the future, for their work and for themselves personally. Discuss what you would like to do with your work in the future and the projects that the team is working on in the future. Reminisce on success and happenings on the past to ground them in the fact that there is still a journey ahead. This type of future-focused dialogue creates a sense of self-efficacy, it cultivates hope, and it moves people beyond persistent anxiety in the present moment. So, those are 5 tips to help you cultivate psychological resilience on your team. Outside of it just being a good thing for maintaining the mental health and wellness of employees from just a good human standpoint, there's also a business case for psychological resilience, and it's simple. Mentally healthy and resilient people are able to focus, to be productive, and to carry out their roles and responsibilities. So, taking care of your people is also taking care of your business. I hope you found some value in this video. Feel free to comment below and let me know what you think about this, what you're willing to try, what you've tried already, or other tips that you have to add to this list.